The end of an era. The Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro marks an unfortunate end to a beautiful era. And depending on where you stand on that line, you're either going to be satisfied and okay with the future, or you're going to be disappointed and less susceptible. Let's just be honest. You're just going to reject where Samsung's headed. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things to embrace about the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro weeks later, and there's some things not to embrace. Let's start off with the cons. Let's get into the goods. The cons. The cons is what everyone wants to know. What's not so good about this here Galaxy Watch 5 Pro? I mean, it's big and it's thick. We're talking about 15 millimeters thick and about 1.6 ounces of weight. But the real thickness and bigness is in the circumference, 45 millimeters. This is not a small watch by any means or any stretch of the imagination. Another con with this is these watches are very much Samsung ecosystem biased. They work best with Galaxy devices, and that's the way that it is. So any device outside of that, you're not going to get the full feature set or the full experience that's advertised and marketed with these Galaxy watches. Another con to this Galaxy watch is the lack of the rotating bezel. The physical rotating bezel. Y'all hear that? I'm gonna miss that sound. That is a con to a lot of long-term Galaxy watch users, such as myself. This has been the Galaxy watch that we've known, and this is the Galaxy watch that we're coming to know, or not wanting to know. Either way you stand, it's fair. Another con to the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, in my opinion, is Samsung is focused on fitness over style. Now, the style and the design of this watch, when we talk about that, you can leave your opinions down below, but the style may not be for everyone. But it's definitely geared towards the active user in mind. And I understand because, honest, if this watch does well, then the angle is going to be this way going forward, which is the marking of the end of the era. Possibly, we might get a classic. But I think the Watch 5 Pro is the end of the rotating bezel. You know, we talked about some of the doom and gloom. Let's talk about some of the good. And if you guys can notice, unfortunately, I'm getting the disconnected watch logo at the top. Although this is connected to my Galaxy Z Flip 4, which I have a video coming. And if you guys want to know, here's a sneak peek, but hit the subscribe button and the bell because this has taken an unfortunate spill. I'll discuss that in a video separate, but the reality is I made this video yesterday and I didn't have the same energy after discovering that. So I don't understand why it's not having the proper connectivity to that device. Obviously, the display may have something to do with it. But the big highlight, the big plus, let's stay positive here, is the battery. The battery life on this Galaxy Watch 5 Pro is absolutely phenomenal, and it is amazing. It is beautiful. It is the Galaxy Watch battery that a lot of us complained about that we didn't get in the Watch 3 and the Watch 4 that we got in the Galaxy Watch and kind of had in the S3 Frontier. We lost that. Went 2-3 years or however many for these generations of not having it and feeling cheated to now having it in its full glory. This is a massive, massive battery, and it proves to be the battery that we've all wanted because this is guaranteed, realistically, a 3-day battery. Now, CJ, you only saying 3 days, even though I've heard and seen people in the comment section saying that they're getting 4 and 5 days. Absolutely true. You're going to see different variations of battery because there's different use cases and different settings and features. Like me, I have always on display on. That's going to drain battery because you're always on. It doesn't go off and die into the dark like someone else's may have set on their device. And another thing is screen brightness, notification, apps, and so forth. These are all going to affect the battery life that you get, but I can confidently, after seeing it charge up and use it multiple times, look at my battery right now. Like I got 62%, you guys, and this is not the first day of use. And I did an update in the middle of that, which you already know drains battery. So I did an update, and I didn't even charge the device to a full 100%. Did an update, drained the battery, and I'm still at 64%. So I still got a couple days to go. That is really a strong truth and praise to this Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. And it also kind of supports the reality of how I see this watch being more for fitness users, because fitness users are going to use the GPS. You know, you're probably going to use onboard storage for music, and you're going to play that. You're going to pull on this battery a lot more. So if you're being fitness oriented and active, this is the battery that you want. Now, another great point about this watch, the Watch 5 Pro, that I'm noticing these weeks later is the build quality. A perfect combination of titanium and sapphire glass crystal glass. Listen, this is so much of a great design in the sense that titanium is light. This is the biggest and one of the thickest watches of the generation in the lineups, yet it's the lightest when we talk about the bigger classic watch styles, and it has the biggest battery. The titanium was a great option to go. Even Apple, with their new Apple Watch Ultra, which I find it ironic that Apple chose Ultra for their name and then Samsung went Pro for their name. Is it because the Pro came out first that Apple had to switch and do the Ultra? What's going on, Samsung and Apple? Y'all got some funny stuff going on lately, but nevertheless, I digress. Here's the reality. The titanium build, which some people have concerns about because they feel like it's going to scratch and show nicks and marks. Hey, weeks later, you know, with the typical wear, you know, those typical bumps, like when you walk into the corner of a wall and things like that and so forth, I'm still looking good. You know what I mean? Now, design choice is subjective as to whether people love it or hate it. Like this concave touch thing is supposed to be able to contour more to your finger, but it's still digital versus physical. And some people had great arguments for the physical bezel. Their hands may be a mess, or wearing gloves and working out there, you know, in a hard, you know, environment, having that physical turn bezel and having a stainless steel casing, which is less likely to show the nicks and the wears and the tears and things like that over time. Like this design right here is going to put up to a lot more of a beating, but it also comes at the cost of it weighing more. And that's what you eliminate with going with titanium, is a lot of that extra weight. Now, you know, the bulk is still there, so we can't argue sizing, but for a lot of people, the sizing and the bulk is what they want and want it, you know what I mean? And to get it in a lighter package, I just think it's a decent design choice, considering the fact that I know that Samsung's aiming at that more active user with this Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. And for that consumer in that area, which may be the area or the market that's ideal for smartwatches, it serves that purpose well. And speaking in active use cases and things like that, like Samsung has one of the best sleep tracking apps on their device. Now, when I get to my month review, that's when we're gonna get deep into each section and I'll show you guys true use cases and all that, and I'll get a little active with it and so forth. But I've seen it, you know, the auto detect, like when you go on and you're on a long walk and it starts to ask you, hey, are you on a walk? And then record it and so forth. The only thing with that auto detect that I've seen on all smartwatches is it knowing when to end. It kind of comes on a little later, but it'll eventually pick up that you're like no longer walking, but I'm driving. And then it's asking me, am I still working out? And I'm like, nah, player, I'm driving. But nevertheless, all in all, the package of the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro and what it offers, even at its steep price point, is a well put together package for the Samsung Galaxy ecosystem and evolution of Samsung Galaxy watches, which is why I say that I can see that this is marking the end of an era, especially if this watch sells well. You guys might as well say farewell to the classic turn bezel. And I'm not one to want to have to say goodbye, but I'm one to realize and see what's going on. And also, as someone who was willing to admit that I was wrong in my preconceived, you know, thoughts about the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, which you guys can see. Hold on, let's switch up the vibe real quick one time for y'all. Hold on. Because, you know, if you guys don't know, I make a video every year teaching you guys how to customize your Galaxy watches and get them to have these nice custom watch faces. It's the same with the watch bands. If you guys like these watch bands that you're seeing on my watch, there's a link down in the description below to the watch bands, and there'll be a link to the video and you can learn how to put these watch faces on your Galaxy Watch 5s. Inevitably, I had to admit that, I could live with it. I'm still in favor of a rotating bezel because I think it looks better, but I understand what this watch is and the intentions with the weight savings using titanium, just what they're gearing towards, that fitness active, watch build. I get it. And know that Apple Watch Ultra is coming and we will be doing a comparison to the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. So hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell because it's absolutely important. If you don't turn on the bell, you're not really subscribing. It's just a note for you to know. Turn on that bell for always notified so that way you get those notifications and you can catch this brutally honest tech review content. Peace.